Welcome to SATV News. This is Riaz Mahmood with our headlines. National election in February, reforms to continue. Chief advisor at UNGA calls for urgent implementation of a two-state solution with an independent Palestinian state. Special preparations needed for upcoming elections, says the CEC, pledges fair election without bias. Delaying elections will deepen crisis, says Amir Khosrow. A change in direction is crucial. Chief Advisor Dr. Muhammad Yunus has informed the United Nations that Bangladesh's 30th parliamentary election will be held in February. He also said that the ongoing reform process aimed at ensuring transparency, accountability and the rule of law will continue in parallel. Addressing the 80th session of the UN General Assembly on Friday night, the Chief Advisor spoke of the measures taken by the interim government following last year's student public uprising. Standing before the Global Forum, he also explained that his government had been entrusted with fulfilling the people's aspirations for an equitable and just society. The interim government's objective was to build a balanced democratic structure where no autocrat can ever re-emerge, added the Chief Advisor. At the same time, Dr. Yunus stressed that regardless of which party wins the next election, the implementation of reforms will no longer be in doubt. Besides, the Chief Advisor said the ongoing conflict in Myanmar threatens not only regional stability but also the safe repatriation of forcibly displaced Rohingya refugees. Meanwhile, addressing the situation in Gaza, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate condemned Israel's actions. On behalf of the people of Bangladesh and conscientious citizens worldwide, he further called for the urgent implementation of a two-state solution with an independent state of Palestine established with East Jerusalem as its capital. Chief Election Commissioner A.M.M. Nasiruddin has said that the upcoming national election will be held under special circumstances and therefore requires special preparations. He also stressed the importance of delivering a free and fair election, pledging that there will be no bias. He made the remarks today while addressing the Election Officials Conference 2025 organized by the Bangladesh Election Commission Officers Association at the EC headquarters in Agagaon, Dhaka. Around 800 Upazila district and regional election officers from across the country attended the event. The Commission is moving forward by addressing many visible and invisible issues, the CEC said, instructing officials not to act on behalf of any political party. No illegal directives will be issued from the Election Commission. The upcoming election is being held in a special situation, so preparations must be special as well, he added. The CEC further urged all election officials to uphold the law and work without bias, emphasizing the Commission's commitment to restoring public trust. BNP Standing Committee member Amir Khosrow Mahmood Chaudhry has warned that delaying Bangladesh's 30th parliamentary elections will only intensify the ongoing crisis. Speaking at a seminar titled Reforms and Elections Context of National Unity held at the BIISS Auditorium in Dhaka's Ramna today, Mr. Khosrow said, history proves that countries which quickly returned to democracy after a popular uprising fared better. In contrast to those that delayed elections by raising various arguments faced civil war, social division and economic disaster. Expressing concern over the current situation, he noted, even after 14 months, we are still engaged in debates. Yet Bangladesh's neighbor Nepal announced election dates within a similar period. 14 months later, Bangladesh has again turned into a country without representation. He stressed that people want a representative parliament and an elected, accountable government, adding that a change in direction is crucial. Distinguished Fellow of the Center for Policy Dialogue, Dr. Debopriya Bhattacharya, has said the people of Bangladesh do not want another weak and toothless Human Rights Commission without authority or efficiency. He made the remark today while speaking at a discussion titled Draft Human Rights Commission Act 2025 organized by the Bangladesh Reform Watch. The Bopri also said the initiative to reform a National Human Rights Commission was first taken during the Fakhruddin-led caretaker government in 2007. And by 2009, a draft law was prepared to set the roadmap. Later, the Awami League government changed the draft at will and established the commission through parliament. But it turned out to be ineffective, he said. He added that the new commission should not be led by someone known as a spineless good person. He said honest principles and courageous people are needed who can even fight with the government if necessary. Civil Aviation and Tourism Advisor Sheikh Bashiruddin today said tourism must be seen as more than an economic tool, stressing its role in spreading purity, safety, family happiness and a sense of togetherness. Tourism is not merely about strengthening the economy, he said at the World Tourism Day 2025 program at the Tourism Building in the capital's Agargaon. Advisor to the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Sayyida Rizwana Hassan, Secretaries of the Civil Aviation and Tourism and Women and Children Affairs Ministries, Foreign Embassy representatives, officials from tourism bodies, senior government officials and media professionals attended the event. Mr. Bashiruddin said it is about purity, safety, family, joy and inclusivity. Traveling together builds harmony in families, societies and the state and reshapes our lives, he added. The ministry has already introduced a code of conduct for tourists, he said, adding all stakeholders were involved in its preparation to ensure safe, smooth and enjoyable travel. Assuming deterioration of law and order, Khagrachori Deputy Commissioner ABM Iftikharul Islam Khondoka has imposed a Section 144 in the district, town and municipal areas. From 5 am today, demonstrators under the banner of Jumma Chhatro Janota blocked roads by burning tires, placing tree logs and brakes at various points in the district as part of a dawn to dusk shutdown. Barricades were set up at Chengi Bridge, Chengi Square and Narayan Khaya on the town's entry points, while picketing was reported on several stretches of the Ramgarh, Manikchori and Guimara regional highways. Transport owners and workers leaders said no decision has yet been made on allowing tourist vehicles on the Khagrachori-Sajek route. Khagrachori Shodar Police Station OC Abdul Batin Mrida said police have been deployed at key points and are working to clear the obstructions. Protests by Jumma Chhatro Janota erupted on Wednesday following the gang rape of a schoolgirl in Singinala area of Khagrachori town on Tuesday. Viewers are taking a short break. Stay with us.
অরিক্স স্পেশাল সেলিব্রিটি শো তারকার ঝলক দেখবেন প্রতি শুক্রবার রাত 9:30 মিনিটে।
ভালোবাসা একবার তুমি বউ কইয়া ডাকো।
হ্যাঁ গো,
আর কত দূর?
আরে আমি তো ফিডের গাড়ির লগে।
তোমার গরু হাঁস মুরগি মাছ তো অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে।
কি কও? অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে কেডা? হাঁস মুরগি মাছ।
আরে ওগো মতি গতি দেখা মনে হইতাছে এসএফিড ছাড়া কিছুই খাইবো না।
হ্যাঁ গো, এসএফিডের খবর ওরা জানলো কেমনে?
আরে ভালো জিনিসের খবর ছড়াতে কি আর মাইক লাগে? খবর ভাসে বাতাসে বাতাসে।
আরে দেখো, এসএফিডের জাদু।
সম্পূর্ণ নিজস্ব তত্ত্বাবধানে বিশেষজ্ঞদের সমন্বয়ে প্রস্তুত হয় এসএফিডের পশুখাদ্য। অত্যাধুনিক প্রযুক্তিতে তৈরি এই পশুখাদ্য যেমন নিরাপদ তেমনি স্বাস্থ্যকর। এসএফিড, নিরাপদ ফিড, স্বাস্থ্যকর প্রোটিন। এসএ অ্যাগ্রোফিডস লিমিটেড একটি এসএ গ্রুপ অফ কোম্পানিজের প্রতিষ্ঠান।
Welcome back. You are watching SATV News. Now, news from abroad. Doctors Without Borders (MSF) said on Friday they had to stop working in Gaza City because the clinics are encircled by Israeli forces. The announcement comes as Israel presses on with its offensive in Gaza. 4 health facilities in Gaza City have shut down so far this month, according to the World Health Organization, and the UN says some malnutrition centers have also closed. Hospitals in southern Gaza cannot absorb more patients filling. Since Israel shut a vital corridor into famine-stricken northern Gaza before escalating its ground offensive this month, community kitchens and health clinics have closed and vital flows of food have slowed, residents and UN agencies say. On Thursday, Israeli strikes killed at least 19 people across the Palestinian enclave, local health authorities said. Israel has killed more than 65,000 people in Gaza since October 7, 2023. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sharply denounced Western countries on Friday for embracing Palestinian statehood, accusing them of sending the message that murdering Jews pay off. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, the Israeli leader pushed back in his harshest terms yet against a flurry of diplomatic moves by leading U.S. allies that deepened Israel's international isolation over its conduct of a nearly 2-year-old war against Hamas militants in Gaza. Over 100 officials walked out while Netanyahu was addressing the UN. With more countries joining the list of those endorsing Palestinian independence, the most right-wing government in Israeli history has made its strongest declaration yet that there will be no Palestinian state as it pushes on with its fight against Hamas following the militants' October 7, 2023 rampage in Israel. Hamas-led fighters killed some 1,200 people, according to Israeli tallies.
May have buckled under the pressure. Take the false charge of genocide.
New Zealand Foreign Minister Winston Peters said at the United Nations headquarters on Friday that New Zealand will not recognize the state of Palestine at this time but remains committed to a two-state solution. With the war raging, Hamas is still in place and no clarity on next steps, we do not think that the time is now, Peters said in his speech at the United Nations General Assembly. New Zealand's position is out of step with traditional partners Australia, Canada and Britain, who all recognized a Palestinian state last Sunday. The move aligned them with more than 140 other countries also backing Palestinian aspiration to forge an independent homeland from the occupied territories.
Of Palestinian statehood and no clarity on next steps, we do not believe that it has one opportunity to recognize.
Organizers of an international aid flotilla said on Friday they would press on with attempts to break an Israeli naval embargo on Gaza, despite pleas by Italy to accept a compromise proposal and not take further risks. The Global Summit flotilla, made up of about 50 civilian boats, was hit on Wednesday by drones carrying stun grenades and itching powder in international waters 30 nautical miles of the Greek island of Gavdos. No one was injured, but a vessel suffered some damage. The GSF blamed Israel, which did not respond to the accusation but said it would use any means to block the boat's access to Gaza. Italian President Sergio Mattarella urged the flotilla's organizers to accept a proposal to drop off its aid supplies in Cyprus and hand them to the Catholic Church Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem for distribution in Gaza. Israel said it backed the idea, but the flotilla rejected it. Greece said it would guarantee the safe sailing of the flotilla if Greece. Its launch will take the flotilla back into international waters. Organizers said the boats aimed to arrive early next week. However, Israel said the flotilla would not pass. Venezuela's foreign minister accused the United States on Friday of fabricating vulgar and perverse lies to justify a military build-up in the Caribbean, warning it was part of a campaign to force regime changes in Caracas. Today, the aggression is aimed at Venezuela, a peaceful and supportive country like Venezuela. Foreign Affairs Minister Ivan Gil Pinto told the UN General Assembly. It cannot be accused of having weapons of mass destruction or nuclear weapons. Today, they invent vulgar and perverse lies that no one believes, neither in the United States nor in the world, to justify a million atrocious, extravagant and immoral military threat, he added. Pinto also said that Washington's goal was to bring war to the Caribbean and South America to promote a regime change that would allow them to steal Venezuela's incalculable oil and gas wealth. Threats, lies, no cannons do not frighten Venezuela, he further added.
La agresión apunta a Venezuela, un país pacífico y solidario.
Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said the country was prepared for United Nations sanctions set to be reimposed on Saturday. Speaking in Tehran to an Iranian television channel, he said it's not as if the sky will fall and we'll have to surrender if they go through with this. A Russian and Chinese push to delay the return of sanctions on Iran failed at the 15-member UN Security Council after only 4 countries supported their draft resolution on Friday, prompting Tehran to warn that the West bore responsibility for any consequences. This council fulfilled the necessary steps of the snapback process set out in Resolution 2231. Therefore, UN sanctions targeting Iranian proliferation will be reimposed this weekend, Britain's envoy to the United Nations, Barbara Wood, said after the vote. Protesters took to the streets of the Mexico City on Friday to mark the 11th anniversary of the disappearance and apparent murder of 43 Mexican college students. Families of the victims, joined by current students from the Ayotzinapa Rural Teachers College, led the march. Demonstrators worked from the Angel of Independence to the Zocalo main square, demanding justice and transparency from the Mexican government. In the 2014 incident, more than 100 students and teachers from Ayotzinapa were attacked while traveling in several buses en route to the capital to commemorate the 1968 student massacre. The group came under gunfire. 43 students were subsequently kidnapped by organized crime members in collusion with local police. The motive behind the attack remains unclear. Family members have long accused Mexican authorities, including the military, of complicity in the students' disappearance. The United States will revoke Colombian President Gustavo Petro's visa because they urged U.S. soldiers to disobey orders and incite violence in New York on Friday, said the U.S. State Department. Petro, in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, told a crowd outside the UN headquarters, ask all the soldiers of the Army of the United States not to point their guns at people. Disobey the order of Trump, obey the orders of humanity. His office and Colombia's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to requests for comment. In his speech to the global gathering on Tuesday, Petro also hit out at Trump, saying the U.S. leader was complicit in genocide in Gaza and called for criminal proceedings over U.S. missile attacks and suspected drug running boats in Caribbean waters.
And the people of these United Nations.
Russia attacked Ukraine with 115 drones overnight, said Ukrainian officials on Saturday. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, 97 drones were downed in various locations on the north, south, east and central Ukraine. 17 locations were hit by drones. In the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, a supermarket was badly damaged, as well as a number of cars in the explosion area. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking on the Axios show on Friday, criticized NATO's reaction to alleged Russian airspace violations, calling it weak and suggesting that stronger measures, including shooting down drones and jets, are necessary to deter further incursions. In an interview with Axios reporter Barak Ravid, Zelensky highlighted incidents involving Russian drones and jets in Poland, Denmark, Norway and Romania. When asked if the response from NATO members has been sufficient, Zelensky replied, "Yeah, so I think yes, weak reaction. So I think that's why Russian President Vladimir Putin, continued with other countries." Zelensky expressed agreement with the former US President Donald Trump's stance on shooting down Russian aircraft that violate NATO airspace. "They have to shoot down everything. If the jets are in your space, you have to block it," he said. He also acknowledged fears among some NATO members regarding Russia's potential retaliation. "I know some leaders, they are not afraid, but mostly countries are afraid," Zelensky said. "They are afraid because I think that they are right that Russia is crazy for today. They are crazy. That's why they are afraid." The remarks come amid heightened tensions in Eastern Europe and calls for NATO to take a firmer stance on defending its airspace against Russian incursions.
Shoot down the drones, shoot down the Russian jets. They had to shoot down everything. If the jet...
Before ending, we go through the headlines again. National election and February reforms to continue. Chief advisor at UNGA calls for urgent implementation of a two-state solution with an independent Palestinian state. Special preparations needed for upcoming elections, says CEC. Pledges fair election without bias. Delaying elections will deepen crisis, says Amir Khosrow. A change in direction is crucial. You are updated with our top stories so far here on SATV, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.